Ladies and gentlemen, there'll be a 15-minute presentation on emerging technology, trends in identity and access management domain, which will be presented by Mr. Binod Singh, founder, president, and chairman of the board of Cross Identity. May I request you to kindly take the stage, please, sir?
Good afternoon to all of you. About 24 years ago, there was something happening in the field of information security and cybersecurity. There were a lot of entrepreneurs in the US in particular and Israel were beginning to develop some technologies that would be the primitive first generation identity and access management. Around the same time, there was something interesting happening in India too. A bunch of 10 professionals, some with a lot of experience, some with less, they began their journey in identity and access management, looking to implement and provide long-term services in IA. India, not being a big recognizer of identity and access management in those days, these 10 people, led by me, in 2002, we left for the US, where we worked for about 12 years as a service company, working with every single technology as it was evolving in identity and access management area, delivering more than 500 projects, including 13 Fortune 50 customers. Our good work was finally noticed in the year 2015-16 by Gartner. And on an invitation from Gartner, we flew down and we had a lot of conversations with them. Their only point that they made to us was, why the hell are you not building a product with the kind of experience that you have? You see, India has been a great IT services place, but when it comes to products, we still don't have much. So there is a general hesitation from Indian companies in making a foray into serious enterprise products, that too in cybersecurity. We are not one of those companies. In 2016, we began building an identity and access management platform. And it's not only when you talk about these areas, it's not easy. Building a platform is easy. Stabilizing a platform, proving it with customers, especially banking and financial sector, is not an easy thing. It took us almost 6 years to build that and bring it to a stable point. And that's the journey I'm going to talk about today as to how it stands. But I would begin with, while most organizations talk about technology, we have elevated ourselves to the next level. Last 1.5 years, we have been extensively working on the RBI compliance, and indeed also on the IRDAI compliance for the insurance sector and the SEBI compliance for the rest. By and large, when we study these, we find they're quite identical. They're all taken from, the foundation has come from NIST, and a lot of changes, of course, have come into it, depending on the sector we are talking about. Question is, why is identity and access management important for cyber, for the RBI compliances? To understand that, let's first understand what's the latest trend in identity and access management. And with the permission of Gartner, I'm going to show you a few slides. This is the core identity and access management. I don't know how visible it is to all of you, especially at the back. It has 3 major elements: identity, governance, and administration, what we call IGA. And this is the most tricky, complex, and expensive part of identity and access management. Then we have the access management, which is all about, we know it more by single sign-on identity authorization. We talk about authentication, which has in itself become a very, very complex area. And then there is the third area called privileged access management. The name has changed, by the way, for those of you who have been using this technology. It is now called Privileged Identity and Access Management, because it's no more about managing the access for the privileged users. It is now about managing the privileged user and the entire life cycle of the privileged user from the time he gets created to the time he gets out of the system. So there's been a lot of changes. You can see two elements, for example, in privileged access management called CIEM, which stands for Cloud Infrastructure Entitlements Management. This was not there earlier, and most of the vendors who are the vendors for the privileged access management do not support this, or for that matter, the next one, which is the privileged access governance. So things have changed remarkably over the last few years when IAM is concerned. That's the first point. The second important point is this orange box that you see out here is a box drawn by Gartner about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, saying this is the new structure and architecture suggested for identity and access management. Because one of the most difficult things that has been happening in the industry is that people have gone for silos of solution. One vendor supplying the IGA solution, another one giving you access management, third one giving you privileged access management, now fourth one is giving you CIM. And we are talking about cybersecurity in today's deliberation. It's just not workable if these elements do not work together as one single system. And so Gartner came out with its architecture calling that it's important for at least the elements that you see inside the box to be available in one single code-based system. And they gave it a new name, Converged IAM. Interestingly enough, in the third generation of our evolution as a product company, this is what we had envisioned 3 years before Gartner spoke about it. And when Gartner spoke about it, we already had a mature solution in Converged IAM. And that's how today we are number one vendor in the world when it comes to the Converged IAM technology. Continuing on the Gartner journey a little more, I have the permission from Gartner to show these slides. We talk about cybersecurity effectiveness, and even in the panel discussion, I think we were talking about it, because a lot of doubts that come to all of us is from the point of view of the effectiveness of cybersecurity as we step into it. And Gartner's new model is that if you want to make cybersecurity effective, then you got to embrace something called identity-first security. Identity is no more restricted to the kind of things that we were talking 6, 7, 10 years ago, where we had the perimeter identity. We were talking about perimeter, right, security. You sit inside the office and you're safe because you've got a firewall and all kinds of tools around you. That picture has disappeared. People are logging in from everywhere. People are logging in from different devices in different ways, and so on and so forth. So unless you bring in identity into the picture and put it at the center of cybersecurity, you're not going to be effective, so says Gartner. And indeed, for that matter, all the other analysts as well. While I'll not go into this paper, but I must say that it has 3 key findings which is of great relevance to all of you. The first one is about what has really changed in the last few years in your IT. So they say 3 major factors. One is cloud, and we are all talking about it today. The second, as we know, digital supply chain. So over the last 10 years, everything, right from sales, management systems to your mail messaging system, everything has, all the supply chain has turned digital. And the third is the remote access, which had come in before COVID, but come COVID has accelerated to a different level altogether. So in this changed environment, Gartner says, and we say the same thing, that continuous and context-aware controls are what are required. Gone are the days when you could make your controls into books and change it once in 3 months. It doesn't work anymore. It changes second to second, and you need to be context aware. You should be using that part. It also talks about compliance. It's very interesting. In the last 2 years, we have been working extensively with banks. We have a lot of banking customers. And one thing that we realize that the compliance part of it, ever since RBI came out with its cybersecurity norms and regulations, compliance is what everybody is running after. It's not surprising to us. We saw that happening in 2005 to 2012 in US when we were there. We are seeing that journey happening in India today. The problem is that when you chase compliance, you, to some extent, ignore security. Compliance check boxes. You can, RBI is coming for the audits and you take care of all that and you're done with it. And you got all the check boxes ticked right. But the very next day, trust me, you are non-compliant. The RBI is going to come after 1 year. You are right away non-compliant because so much is changing every day in your environment. So Gartner also talks about don't go just for the checkbox compliance may not give you true security. It'll give you compliance. And by the way, we are working with, we have started fairly extensive deliberations with RBI. We've been working with the team that conducts the audits. We are talking of jointly developing a tool which is going to be used for conducting the audits in the identity and access space and so on. I'll talk about that as I go forward. So we have talked about this. I think all of us know about the RBI compliance, but RBI compliance, as ma'am was saying, very, very extensively covers identity and access management, and I'll talk about that as I go forward. In fact, IAM is one of the most intrinsic and important aspect of the RBI compliance. If you look at, this is from the document, talks about cybersecurity control summary, user access management controls. This is one of the important aspects. There are 73 policies that you got to adhere to in order to be RBI compliant in the space of identity and access management. We as a technology make you compliant with all the 73 because we are a converged player. We are one of the few converged IAM systems in the world today. And these controls come from, these policies come from, in terms of implementation, they come from different areas of IAM, and we have all of it inside one product. How our product, which is called Cross Identity, can help with RBI compliance. So in order to answer that question, I'll go a little wider and talk about top 10 factors that would help you in that direction about us. One, as I said, convergence has become very important, and we are world's #1 vendor in the converged IAM. Two, we are a make in India vendor with global credentials. You would say, how does it matter? I can buy an American product. I can buy a product from outside. How does it really matter? IAM is IAM. No, it is not, especially when it comes to a sector like yours. I'll give you just 2 examples. There is a very large NBFC and banks all, which has been using a particular product. Many of the banks also use it. It's called br.net. And this product is not yet compliant to be integrated in a way that some of the access management policies can be adhered to for you to have your compliance. We went out of the way, we worked with br.net to make the product, their product, work on the protocols that need to be supported for making things happen. We have several other examples. We are working with the largest microfinancing company in the country to make them compliant and secure, because they've got tens of thousands of people going to remote areas, and this is true for many other organizations as well. They go to the remote areas to do the collections. They've got, all they have is, it's a BYOD, they bring their own device, and that whole factor is not compliant. Third, we have very strong presence with the Indian financial customers, and that has helped us in terms of giving us the experience for compliance. We have been investing heavily, as I said. We are not just investing in technology, we are investing in compliance. And we work very, very closely. We are into deliberations with NPCI now on the payment systems, and you are one of the users of the payment systems. We have a 24/7 support center out of India. We have top reviews from international analysts. We are one of those Indian companies which has got impeccable global credentials as well. We have 3 US patents, and that shows the innovation behind the company. We have availability of C-level executives right here in India to bring about changes that are required for you to get things aligned more with RBI compliance. We were talking about DPDP just now. We have worked with 14 organizations so far, and DPDP Act, by the way, for India is very different from what GDPR is or what it is in US. So you need to give localized flavor on the solution side, and we are doing that. This is the only product with, as I said in the beginning, some new technologies like the CIEM and all baked in. And finally, it's the same code base both for on-prem and cloud. Many of you are hesitant to move into cloud today. But it should not happen that you begin your identity and access management journey, you spend millions of rupees in doing that, and tomorrow you want to move to cloud, and that's not going to work. You got to change it all. So we are the only vendors in the world which has the same code base both for the cloud as well as for on-prem. Well, for lack of time, I would stop this presentation here. I had only 15 minutes allotted to me. We are here behind, or otherwise you can connect with us. We are not a vendor looking for just profits. I want to make that very clear. We want to make India compliant. We want to work in IAM space in India. And while we have global credentials and we have a lot of customers outside, but our focus very clearly is India. We can see Indian IAM technologies and the requirements emerging. This is the time when 24 years of our experience and solid hard work that we have put in is going to be of some benefit to all of you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, sir. May I now request K. Srinivas Rao, sir, to present a memento.